Okay, so moving on from the drums onto the bass. I recorded this using my Dingwall 4-string. I really like that bass. I've had it for a good few years now. It's just perfect for metal. It's perfect for any metally sounds. I basically bought it because Nolly uses one, and if it works for him, it's gonna work for anyone. So in terms of the bass, I have a split channel, one a processed and one a DI, just to blend some of the clean DI back into it if I needed it. On the process channel, I'm using the Parallax from Neural DSP. Great little distortion plugin that's really, really cool, especially if you want a really, really nice distorted, dirty sounding bass sound. This is a really good one to use. Please pay no mind to the preset that I was using. I was basically just going through every single preset that they had, just going nope, yeah, maybe, nope, and then I landed on that one and just thought, yes, that is the one. I made small amounts of adjustments to it. Took some of the mid drive out of it. I boosted the high end on this quite a fair bit. It's riding on the high end quite a lot. But I think it worked. It works quite nicely for this particular sound. I'm doing a couple of notches, and that's basically all I'm doing there. I boosted some of the low end onto this just to give it an extra level of boominess, because I really want the bass, because it's not doing anything over the top or anything like that in terms of playing. I wanted it to be as present and as awesome sounding as possible for what it's doing, and I think it got that. And obviously, just on its own, then with Parallax added as well. And that's about it, really, in terms of the bass. Kept it simple. I didn't want to do too much to it, like I said, because I think I got quite a nice sound recorded from the Dingwall. That's pretty much it. Moving on. So guitar-wise, we've got quite a lot going on in terms of guitars. Quite a lot of ambient guitars, clean guitars, and a couple of leads as well. So we'll start off with the cleans. Just rather unusual why I put them there, to be honest, considering they play first. But I've put the ambients there. Don't know why. There was probably a reason in my head. So clean guitar wise, I'll just play a little bit of it, and then you can get an idea. And I'll just go through what I did. It's a really, really nice clean sound that Liam got for this song. Really, really nice. I can't remember specifically what he ended up using. I think it might have been the Neural DSP Petrucci, but I could be wrong about that, and it may have been the Pliny. I can't remember exactly, but either way, it came out sounding really, really, really nice. So, in terms of processing on these, I'm adding a tiny bit of compression on both of these channels, just because it's a lot of tapping going on. Initially, it was really, really hard to sort of give it that clarity without any compression. So I deliberately added quite a bit of compression to it, just to bring out that tappiness and make it push through quite nicely. So I'll play it without. In fact, if I play this particular section, it might give you a better idea of what I mean. can also hear there that I'm taking out a fair bit of low in there, up to about 150. Just because, again, that was you could hear there, especially as he was starting to do that faster tapping. There was quite a lot of low end muddiness just going on, which just does happen sometimes, especially with more picked clean sounds. It can happen. So just taking that out, just to tidy it up, make it prominent. Just adding a tiny bit of a high end reduction there at around 12k. Just to again, just to sort of clean it up a tiny bit. Other than that, that's pretty much it in terms of what I'm doing to those particular tracks. Keeping it simple again, as I say. Rhythm guitar wise, we have a pair of rhythms, I think, again recorded using the Petrucci. I could be completely wrong about this, and it could have been the Nolly. It was a fair while ago now we recorded this, so I'm not exactly sure. Got these panned hard left, hard right. Other than that, all I'm doing to this, didn't think I needed to do too much to this. I'm just adding, again, just small amounts of taking some low end out, taking some high end out, just to sort of tighten it a tiny bit. It's very, very, very small adjustments on this. It's very, very subtle. You're probably very hard put to actually find any difference between adding this and taking it out, to be perfectly honest. But I'll play it with and play it without. So there you go. So you can hear that. Just taking that low end out a tiny bit, just tightens it up a little bit, gets rid of that muddiness quite nicely, but keeps it chuggy, keeps it really, really nice and metally, which is what we like. I didn't really see the need to put too much compression or anything on any of these channels, because Liam was using either the Petrucci or the Nolly. I can't remember which one. They come with compressors built into them, so he had already applied a bit of that, so I didn't want to add more to that and risk sort of just kind of destroying the sound almost, so I wanted to just keep it natural, just make small adjustments just to clean things up, and that's all I thought that it needed, and I think it worked quite nicely. Then we have the lead guitars, so I've got 3 lead guitars here, 2 of them sort of acting as backing lead, and then 1 main lead. I've got the left and right panned, hard left and right, and then the main one just as a stereo channel there. So I'll just play a little bit of both of them, just so you can get an idea. I really like this particular lead line that he did here. It's a really nice, subtle little thing. There's just a really nice lead line. I don't know what it is, but it's really nice. So there you go, just to give you an idea. Kind of fills the headspace quite nicely on this. And again, I'm keeping it fairly simple, really, in terms of what I'm doing. Adding a little bit more of a reduction on the high end, up to about 10k there, and low end again, about 150, 160 reduction. There was a bit of a harsh, notchy bit here that I took out just to tidy things up again. Again, it's really subtle, but it was really prominent to my ear as I was going through the mixing and going further and further in the process, that I kept coming back to that particular sort of frequency band in the leads, and just thought that it just needs tidying up a tiny bit, so just take it out, and it made one hell of a difference. I mean, it's not a huge reduction, but it's enough to really, really make a difference. So, other than that, we have the ambiance guitars. We have 3 going on here. I'll just find a bit here. So one of these It's sort of acting as a build throughout that the build tapping section into the heavy section. So I've got quite a harsh volume control on this, right down up to where it's sort of left for the rest of the song. The idea being, like I said, just to help the build, help the general sort of just anxiety set in. So on this, I've got, again, 2 reductions, quite a harsh one here, up to 6500 there. Reason being was because you could really hear the picking sound, really hear Liam's picking, which I didn't really want because they're ambient guitars and there's so much reverb in them. I didn't want any. I wanted it almost to sound unnatural with the actual guitar sound, almost make it sort of more synthesized, but also giving it lots and lots of space. So that's why I did that particular reduction. And that one as well. I'll see if I can give you an example to hear it. It's very subtle again, but to my ears, I think it worked. So there we go. Hopefully you can sort of hear what I mean there in terms of the picking. You can hear it especially as well in the low end. Each individual hit of his pick to the strings, you can really hear that sort of like a chunky sort of after muddiness. So taking those bits out really brought it together nicely. Making a bit of a notch reduction there, which again, to my ears, I found that particular notch to be very, very shrill. The more that I went through the mixing process, the more I was picking up on it. So just took it out a little bit. I'll see if I can. I'll boost it up, see if you can hear what I mean. So there, hopefully you can kind of get an idea for what I mean there. It's again, it's subtle, but it's useful. It's a useful reduction, definitely. Then lastly on that, I added this imager just to widen the sound a little bit, because I wanted it to be, because this is all spacey and synthy, I wanted it to be sort of everywhere in your ears, but without being overly chaotic. So I'm sort of stereoizing the sound a little bit on this, making a few adjustments in the different bands just to put certain bands in the mix more than others. So I'll play it with, play it without, and you can get an idea. So hopefully you can hear there. It's almost, it adds a bigger panned stereo effect, which I think is really, really nice. I always tend to do that kind of thing if it comes to like very reverby guitars that are very spacey. I want them to be as spacey and big as possible, you know. So I'll often come back to things like images just to give it that little edge, which I think is really, really, really cool. And then, other than that, I'm bussing all of those into a guitar bus here, which basically acts as like a guitar master channel, essentially. Just making a few reductions just to, again, just tidy things up just at the finish line. Nothing too major, nothing too over the top. It was just a few boxy areas, especially around here again, which I go on about a lot around the sort of 300 to 1k mark. Can be quite boxy, And in this instance, because we're doing quite a metally song, I wanted it to be as genty and as beautifully as possible. Other than that, I'm just adding this here, which is basically a multi-band compressor. And this is the first instance of using this one, actually, because I don't own a better one, partly. And I really liked what came out of this. It really tightened the sound up overall. If I just play it with and without this this band, you can kind of see what I mean. So it's very subtle again, as I say, but it's the main reason that I'm using this really is to tame the low end again. Keep it really, really nice and consistent without, making masses of reductive EQs, because obviously taking it out can improve the sound, but only to a point, because you don't want to completely take the low end out, because then you're left with no nice low end chugginess of the guitars. But by using this, it's acting as a duck for it. So if there's any moment, there's only a few moments there where you could actually see it happening. Like I said, it's very subtle, but particularly in this low band here, when the leads came in, because there's the rhythms, there's the ambient guitars, and there's the leads going on, there was quite a lot of low end there, and it was just ducking it ever so slightly, but that, I think, made a huge difference, and it allowed the bass to really punch through, and allowed the kick and the snare as well to really punch through, without losing any of that low end clarity, which really was not what I wanted to do. It would have been really unfortunate if that had ended up happening, if I'd done something stupid like I say, take all of the low end out in a low cut, and then just left it, which we all learn from mistakes. We've all done stupid things like that in the past. So that's about it, really, in terms of what I've done to the guitars and the bass. Like I said, I didn't want to overly complicate things. I didn't want to make things ridiculous. And Liam had already done a pretty darn good job of his recordings of his guitars. So I didn't feel the need to overly compress, overly process anything, overproduce. You never want to overproduce, especially if it's someone else's song in particular, which this is Liam's song. I wanted to just make it sound as good as possible, really. Oh, I really like that lead line there when it comes in. It's really cool. It's a really, really cool lead line they did there. Anyway, I'm getting distracted by myself. So, other than that, we have a few other bits and bobs that Liam decided to add, because why the hell not? A fair few synths going on in this, but I think I'll leave that for another episode. I think there's enough going on in here that I can stretch it out. I can milk this a little bit more.